Hi, everyone. Welcome. I am 98% sure I turned off the waiting room, but just in case, if one of my co-hosts could please just double check that as you hear the doorbell and admit people if they need it, that would be great. So hi everyone and welcome. My name is Catherine McFarlane. My pronouns are she and hers, and I'm the Director of Global Experience Advising here at Northeastern University in Boston. And I'm so excited to be here today to talk about the launch of the new Leading Social Change program at Mills College. I'm joined today by some of my colleagues from Mills who will introduce themselves a bit later, as well as my colleague, Brian McAllister-Grand, Director of Academic Integration and Programming in the Global Experience Office. And I'm also, if you can't tell, recovering from a cold, so please excuse any coughing or throat issues you might hear. So today we'll go over some of the basics of the program and hear more about life in academics at Mills from our colleagues who live and work there, as well as some of the logistics around the application and finances and all of that. If you have questions, please go ahead and enter them into the chat at any time. And we'll also have time at the end for dedicated Q&A. Brian will be keeping an eye on the chat. He might answer some questions in there, and he'll also help to moderate the Q&A at the end of the presentation. So let's get started. As I mentioned, this is our inaugural semester of the Leading Social Change program at Mills College, which, for those who don't know, is in Oakland, California, not too far from where I grew up. This is an interdisciplinary, gender-inclusive program that will allow Northeastern students various opportunities to learn from community and industry leaders in and around the Bay Area through things like speaker series, panel discussions, dinners, and mentorship opportunities. One of the best things about this program is access to the top-notch academics and faculty experts at Mills. There are lots of classes to choose from, and I'm going to show you a couple of different things here. I'm going to have one of my colleagues from Mills speak to you about this, but before we do that, I just want to show you very briefly, I'm sorry, bear with me here. As we go through, I want to show you our website and how to look at which classes are offered. So if you go to go.northeastern.edu, that's our website, and the fastest way to get to that program page is right up here on this red banner. If you click more about Mills, that will take you directly to the program page. This is also where you apply. So I won't go too in-depth into this, but if you look at the academics tab, you'll be able to see all of the courses that we actually have listed that you'll be able to choose from. So all students take the Leadership for Social Change course, and then you'll choose between 3 and 4 other courses in total to take. And you can see here which courses already have been approved. So for example, you can see that the course Race, Gender, and the Criminal Justice System is the equivalent of the Northeastern course Race, Crime, and Justice. And if you scroll down, and I know scrolling on Zoom is terrible, so I won't subject you to too much of it, but you can see that it really has a lot of options for you to choose from. So this is where you would go to see what courses you can choose from. So that's on our website, not the Mills course catalog. So you want to make sure that you're looking at your Northeastern program page. So I'm going to go back here to academics, and I want to turn it over now to my colleague. I believe it's going to be Dr. Bauer who will be speaking. So Dr. Bauer, if you want to talk a little bit more about academics at Mills and what that experience is like. Oh, I think you're muted.
I love that the thing pops up and says, the host would like you to unmute, because that may have gone on for hours. So yes, my name is Natalie Kahaulani Bauer, and I am the Department Chair of Race, Gender, and Sexuality Studies at Mills. And so that houses our program in Ethnic Studies and our program in Women, Gender, and Sexuality Studies. And several of the classes that are on the approved list for you all in the spring come out of our departments. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about academics, and I'm going to mostly kind of like leave it so you can ask questions. I don't want to assume I know what you want to know. But fun fact, I actually was a student at Mills many, many, many lifetimes ago, many years ago, decades. And so I feel like that gives me a pretty unique perspective on what academics means at Mills and how we actually know it's for real, right? Because any campus, and in fact, every campus and every, what do you call them? Company, sorry, in the world now is for social change, right? And social justice. But, my experience of it is that Mills has actually been decades ahead of that. We've had a focus on social justice and equity before it was actually a term that was thrown around. So our mission, both in the classroom and outside, has always been focused on equity, on inclusion, on calling out problematic truths, refusing dominant epistemologies as the norm, and community engagement. So, but for us, community engagement is something that you may have heard of, referred to as service learning. And we actually intentionally do not use the word service learning because it implies that we would then enter into communities as the holders of knowledge, right? Or as the saviors, as the folks who are serving. But from our perspective, we enter the community as an extension of our classroom. So honoring community leaders as professors and knowledge keepers in their own rights, right? So that the folks being served are actually, it's bidirectional, right? That we're definitely not there to provide a service, because that's problematic in many ways that you could spend a whole semester talking to me about, which I'll stop now. But so because of this, the type of students that we attract, who may be you and will definitely be the folks you're surrounded by, are folks who've been known sort of as rabble rousers, or quiet deep thinkers, community activists, or oftentimes students who actually don't know that they're going to grow into powerful change makers. But the common thread is that folks that come here want change, and they want real material cultural change in their lifetimes. So I tell you about our students in telling you about our academics because our students actually drive our academics, right? And that's unusual, it's unique in higher ed. But at Mills, the education in the classroom, in my experience, changes to meet the needs of students, rather than asking students to change themselves to fit into some sort of imagined like proper way of like doing college, right? Or acknowledging or acquiring knowledge. And that's a gift I think that we get as professors from our students. So that gift will expand to you, to the college itself, to future students, and includes all of you. So because of that, when you come to Mills in the spring, you'll participate in community engaged learning, and oftentimes not only in the classes that have that in the title, right? It kind of gets snuck in there. So you can do this through an individual project. You can do it as work embedded in your courses. You will meet community leaders in a variety of fields. We have deep relationships with places like the Native American Health Center, to the Sogorea Land Trust, which are the stewards of this land. The land that we're on here right now in Oakland belongs to the Ohlone people. And we have ongoing relationships that we are really working to strengthen with them. So you'll work with leaders in those fields, either through them coming to the classroom or through you actually going into their places of business or their sites of community work. In the classroom, you'll also be in very small classes. We have an average, I would say, of around like 15 to 20 students. And this allows classes to be conducted more in like a discussion seminar format, right? So you may be more used to the lecture format, which you might like if you want to sit in the back and, scroll the internet and whatnot. But at Mills, you have to know that, the small classrooms are really excellent for you getting personalized attention, but it also means you have to show up, right? Like you can't be in a class of 12 people and fade into the walls. It doesn't work, right? But we also get you to participate in a way that makes sense for you, right? So not everyone wants to be the student who's constantly like screaming out, like their ideas, and they're excited and they have so much to say. But some folks prefer to be in, like just a pair, a partner, small groups, have their conversations that way, and then share it out with a larger class. So we really have a lot of flexibility to work with students to different levels of comfort in discussion, but also kind of pushing you, right, to actually learn how to speak up and realize that the question you have is probably the question that half of the class has. Or the insight that you might be afraid to make is actually an insight that everyone in the room, probably the professor included, needed to learn, right? So that's kind of the beauty of Mills, is that you'll really get pushed, but with support, and from a stance of believing that if we elevate each individual, that we actually elevate the entire community all at once. So that's my spiel. That's sort of how I see education at Mills, and I'll leave it at that. But if you do come in the spring, you'll probably all be in my class, which is called Leadership for Social Change. So if you decide to come, and as the semester gets closer, you can feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm assuming I can share my email in the chat, perhaps. If you have specific questions, or if you actually have ideas about the things that you would like to study in a class like that. One of my favorite things about Mills is the autonomy we have to just always change the way that the class is framed and what's important in the class. So yeah, I'll put my email in the chat if I have access to the chat. And I think I'll stop for now and let some other folks talk.
Great, thank you. I don't know if anybody else from Mills was going to jump on, or okay. I'm seeing some head shaking.
Yeah, I thought it was Beth, but perhaps not.
No.
Beth, you don't want to follow that.
I'm pretty sure this is Beth in the photo, right? So it's like she's presenting, right?
You're amazing, yeah. Natalie. I'm not touching it.
Thank you, Dr. Bauer. And so yes, so Dr. Bauer will be teaching that course that all Northeastern students will take as part of this program, which you can see it's the 4-credit Leadership for Social Change course, and you can see the new path requirement it meets there as well. All of these classes, like I said, do transfer back to Northeastern. Your grades transfer back, very similar to a semester abroad, even though this is obviously not abroad. There is also, in the same way that you have opportunities to explore the possibility of a co-op after a semester, starting if you wanted to do a summer to fall co-op, or maybe just a summer co-op if you're able to do that with your college. In the Bay Area, that's something that you could certainly explore. I think you would be making some really great connections through this program. You'll still have access to your Boston co-op advisor at Northeastern. And there is also the option to be able to extend your housing, not for free, which I'll get to in a second, but to extend your housing and live on campus at Mills during a co-op as well. So that is also something you might want to consider. I'm looking only at Mills people right now, so it's a little bit strange looking at people who non-students as I'm saying this. So moving on. Getting ahead of myself. So finances. So the other thing, one of the many things that's so exciting about this program is that your program fee only for this spring is $0. So that's totally waived. And normally your program fee would be whatever amount it is and would cover non-academic costs. But in this program, it covers non-academic costs, but it costs $0. So it does include on-campus housing at Mills and a 15+ meal plan. What you pay is your Northeastern tuition, whatever that is for you, right? So that amount can look a little bit different for all students. So it's your what you normally would pay for a semester, between 12 and 16 credits at Northeastern, minus obviously any scholarships, grants, your financial aid, that all still applies. And then you will get that semester of on-campus housing and the 15+ meal plan, which might be talked about a little bit more, but essentially it's 15 meals a week in the dining hall, as well as $250 worth of points for the semester, which is similar to our Husky dollars. Um, so I am, here for the logistics and the back end. But what's far more exciting, as you just saw, was hearing from people at Mills. So I would love to now turn it over to Dr. Martin from Mills, who can introduce themselves and talk about student life.
Great, thank you so much for the introduction and for everyone being here. Again, my name is Shakura Martin. I'm the Vice President of Student Life and Dean of Students here at Mills. I use they, them pronouns, and really excited to be talking with all of you today a little bit about Mills, the opportunities of student life. And really, I'm going to rely on the amazing staff. I'm going to introduce a few of them, but folks are so excited to welcome our Northeastern students out here that there are even more than even we invited to speak, because they really wanted to be here and be available for your questions. We're going to talk a little bit about the housing opportunities, and in a moment I'll ask Devin Carr, our Director of Housing and Residence Life, to speak a little bit about Orchard Meadow, the space, and about the residential experience on campus. We'll also talk a little bit about on-site support, both academic and kind of co-curricular and other opportunities, and I'll ask Inez Barbosa to talk about our advising, career and global learning, including all of our tutoring and support and academic support, and then I'll loop back around and just make sure, we'll see if there's any questions. But we also have some great staff who can talk about just about anything that we have and giving the vibe and experience of Mills. But I'm going to start with Devin and have Devin talk a little bit about housing. We'll start there and make sure we get you that information. So Devin.
Hello, my name is Devin Carr. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm the Director of Housing and Residential Life. I've been in my role for a few weeks now. And prior to that, I was the Director of our Center for Student Leadership, Equity, and Excellence. So yeah, we plan to house students in this program in Orchard Meadow, which has historically served as our first year community. It is a nice hall. I say that a lot of the residential facilities here at Mills kind of give Hogwarts vibes. We plan to offer you all a residential experience that will complement what you're learning in the classroom. So I'll be working closely with one of our area coordinators, Ling Lee, also in this space, to come up with an intentional programming model that again will kind of complement the objectives of the social change program that you're in here. We're looking at two models that we're going to consider as we build out the programming model for your residential experience. That is exemplary leadership and also something model, which is the social action leadership and transformation model. You will have some opportunities to build community in a fun type of way to kind of, take the load off after classes, but we'll also be offering some opportunities for you to connect with leaders in the Oakland area or the Bay Area who are out doing the work and actually affecting change. So much like you being introduced to them in the classroom, you'll have that opportunity in some of our programs as well. We hope to also provide you some opportunities to do some excursions off campus to really kind of ground yourself in the Oakland community, but then also learn about the history of Mills College as well. And we'll partner with places like the center and some of the folks who have worked historically in our orientation team to do that.
Great, thank you so much, Devin. And I really want to highlight a few things Devin mentioned. One is the rich history that the Oakland area, we are here in Oakland in this really amazing community with such a powerful legacy and recognizing the work that folks have been doing before we put language around anti-racism to really understand the roots of so many movements, everything including urban development and gentrification to environmental racism and sustainability. There's just a really powerful opportunity to think about social change and the movements and really how communities have a long, long legacy. And I think there'll be amazing opportunities to tie together that and to provide those experiences. And as Devin also mentioned, another piece too is it's a really wonderful place to live and learn. We can name the obvious, which is there are many days here in California, I forget where I put my jackets because I don't need them so often. So the weather's lovely. And so that's nice, but it also means you can really enjoy the community. You can get out and hike and explore. You can think about the ways in which we interact with the land in our community. So there's a lovely piece to be able to experience that, but there's also real meaning around those experiences. And we really try to tie those together, that those are the ways in which we learn the best. Our residential community, I encourage you, if you're interested, go online and take a look at our virtual tour. I'd love for you to see the campus experience. We are on 135 acres here in the Oakland Hills. It is a beautiful historic campus, and it really does create a space for education, a space where you can come and build community. And we look forward to doing that both with the NU students, but also with the greater Mills community. You know, we have both graduate and undergraduate students on campus with us here. We also share our residential space with other partners, Upward Bound, athletics groups, the occasional dog walker. So it's a really robust community that way. And I think a place that people really enjoy living and learning. And so thanks to Devin kind of talking a little bit about the residential space and the community, what we can provide. So I'd like to ask Inez to talk a little bit about our sort of academic supports and how we're connecting that sort of academic and co-curricular experience, and how we can make sure to support the folks who are coming with us and enjoying our sort of social justice community here in that academic and student life legacy.
Thank you, Shakora. Are folks able to hear okay? Okay. Welcome. My name is Inez Barbosa. My pronouns are she and ella. I'm an assistant dean for advising career and global learning. So Shakora mentioned career services, academic advising, writing and tutoring support are under my purview. There will be both subject tutoring, and we have a really exquisitely trained group of writing fellows, folks from our MFA and English program, who are actually trained in all kinds of academic writing. So they can support, our students with their capstone thesis projects, with project proposals, anything you need, they'll be able to support with. I will be working closely with students on the community engagement piece and the elective part that will be part of the core curriculum, where we will be both working with NU alum, Mills alum, community members. Mills has a rich history of community engagement, and as Dr. Bauer talked about, it's a mutual learning experience, both for our students bringing some knowledge and program support to our community partners, and for the community partners to also be able to, get new ideas and kind of be connected to what's happening in academia. So there will be more details coming out later on in this semester as we kind of narrow down who our community partners will be, but you'll have an opportunity to talk to leaders in different organizations across sectors connected to the topics of the course. And there'll be some space for you all to, for students who are participating, to provide some feedback into the kinds of leaders or sectors that we will be able to participate in. And so we do career treks at Mills, and that will be part of the curriculum. Some of them will be panels, folks coming to Mills, some of them will be going out to community to explore. And we are excited to connect you with this theme of, social justice leadership to various practitioners who are doing the work across different fields. So I will leave it at that so we have some time for questions.
Great, Inez, thank you. I think the thing I would lift up there that Inez mentioned is really being able, Mills, one of the things Mills prides itself in is being able to learn from our students and adapt our programming and opportunities based on your needs and interests. So while we will craft out some structure as students arrive, we will work with them to figure out what are their career and academic interests, what nonprofits, government organizations, corporations, whatever it may be, are you interested in, and how we have a really powerful network of Bay Area folks that we can connect and do, as Inez mentioned, career treks, where we actually go out to several companies, nonprofits, folks doing amazing work, and we really can be adaptive. So if you're really excited about being a part of that and making sure that you can be participating in that, we'd love to have you join us. I want to turn it back over, but I just want to name that we have 3 other folks here from Mills, at least who I can see. We have Allie Littlefox here on the call. So if you have any questions about campus recreation, facilities, athletics, and the work we're doing with Northeastern, Allie's here to answer those questions. Jillian Mosley, orientation, transition, all of our great work in getting students here, getting them acclimated, is also a Mills alum, so can talk a little bit about that. And Ling Lee, our area coordinator, who's going to be working with this community in Devon to really build a robust living learning experience. And we're super excited to have all 3 of these great Mills folks here, as well as our academic faculty who've joined us. So I'll turn it back over to Catherine, and we'll just address any questions as they come.
Fantastic. Thank you, Shakora, Inez, and Devin. And so I'm going to go over just some basic logistics things here. So the first is eligibility. So all majors at Northeastern are eligible to participate in this program. Obviously, please talk to your academic advisor and make sure this fits into your academic plan. But there are no restrictions in terms of colleges or majors or anything like that on GEO's end. There's no minimum GPA requirement. You do have to be in general good standing with the college, with the university. And we're looking for students primarily who have a passion for social justice and a desire to explore leadership. And whether that's a student who already sees themselves as a leader or a student who doesn't yet, but is really interested in these topics and wants to become a leader in this space, this is the right program for you. So it's very open, like I said, as you can see from the courses on our website, it's very interdisciplinary, and it can fit in a lot of different ways. The application is, pretty straightforward. I've highlighted the things here that take more than about 2 seconds to do, right? So there's a few things, the typical waivers and the things that you have to read and agree to. But there's 3 things that take a little bit more time, not a ton, but a little bit. One is a short essay question. The second is selecting some course options. This is not your actual registration. We will not hold you to these courses, but it does help us get a sense of what courses students are interested in so that all of my fantastic colleagues at Mills can start to get prepared for this group of Northeastern students coming in. And then the last thing is to upload an unofficial transcript. Now this program is open to second semester freshmen. So if you're in your first semester right now and you don't have a transcript, that's okay. The system will make you upload something. So just write in a Word document, I'm a freshman and I have no transcript yet, and upload that. That's fine. The applications are due by November 1st. So you want to start working on that sooner rather than later. And I think I have the prompt in here. Maybe not. I thought I did. So the essay prompt, let me just go back. Well, you can see here the screenshot. So when you open your application, this is what you're going to see. So most of this is like I said, read and click that you agree, digital signature, et cetera, et cetera. And then this personal motivation, this is that essay question. You want to take some time to think about what your motivations for this program are, what kind of, aspects of social change, social justice, leadership that really speak to you. It will be in there. I would recommend maybe writing it in a Word document first, and then copying and pasting it in there so that just in case something happens, you don't lose your work. This unofficial transcript, and then the course information, that's where you're going to list the courses. Everything else takes literally like 10 seconds. So again, very straightforward. So this is my information. I am advising for this program for this semester. So you're always welcome to meet with me, email me, answer any questions, but of course we can also answer questions here. So you can ask questions to me, you can ask questions to any of the Mills staff who are on the call or faculty who are on the call right now. So I see there is one question in the chat. If you apply and get in, is that a binding decision, or do you have a set time frame to accept or reject the decision? Great question. So it is not immediately binding. So you're not signing your life away to anything. So if you apply, like I said, that application deadline is November 1st. We anticipate that you will have your admissions decision by I think the 1st is a Monday, so I want to say by Friday the 5th at the latest. It depends on how many applications we have, to be honest. If we have to go through 100, that might take us a little bit more time. But I would anticipate that by the 5th, and hopefully more like the 2nd or 3rd, you would know. Now, here's the thing. Registration at Northeastern for spring courses starts November 15th. So you'd pretty much want to know if you were going by November 15th, because if you weren't going to do the program, then you want to be registering for courses at Northeastern. So I don't know if that, Kristen, if that helps answer your question. So you do have a time frame. I mean, obviously, if there were extenuating circumstances and you had to withdraw, of course, that's okay. But the driving factor is going to be that November 15th registration open here in Boston. Anna, yes, there will be a pre-departure meeting for the program once the cohort is selected. Absolutely. So you will get a pre-departure orientation that's specifically for the Mills College program. What that looks like exactly, I don't know yet, but it'll be great. And in a couple of weeks, you should be hearing some announcements about some on-campus in-person activities where you can meet some of the virtual faces that you're seeing here in person. So there's going to be a lot of things happening in the next few weeks here, but certainly you'll have pre-departure information that will look different from our standard study abroad pre-departure orientation, of course, but yeah, absolutely. You'll get to meet the other students going and talk to Mills folks and talk to me and make sure everything's all set. What is the expected size of the cohort? That's the million-dollar question. So the short answer is I don't know. I think we would be really pleased with a cohort of about 30. Now, could it be smaller? Could it be bigger? Yes. But I think for the kind of individual attention that Mills gives and the kinds of activities you'd be doing as a cohort, I think 30 sounds like a nice number. But could it be a little bit bigger? Could it be a little bit smaller? Sure. Any other questions? And you don't have to ask the questions in the chat. You actually can. You can also ask in person or with your voice as well if you want to.
Hi.
Hi, Jackie.
I had a question about the I remember seeing the thing about like it was like a community kind of like mentor type thing for like the topic that you're interested in, or like the social like topic that you want to work with. So what would you be able to talk more about like how you get, I guess, connected with that person and like how you're supposed to decide and stuff like that?
Yeah, go ahead, Shakora.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So, and I will turn over. So my counterpart, Beth Coakley, is one of our faculty here. And you saw her in that great picture holding, I don't even know what that was, but it looked very exciting. So I'll mention from some of our approach in working with Inez's team and the great work we do is really about building a team of support, which includes academic folks, faculty mentors, student life staff that you'll have in the living learning community as well. So just know that while there be a connection and a mentor opportunity from the academic pieces and with Professor Bauer, there will also be an opportunity to connect with the residential community and those learners. So think of it as sort of a network or a team approach to that. But I'll maybe turn it over to Dr. Coakley to talk a little bit about sort of the faculty connections around some of these topics.
Yeah, absolutely. The faculty are also, obviously very, very involved with the students. We have very small classes and we really enjoy getting to know our students and working with them both in the class and individually. Also, Inez and her office are working on the connections to the community as well. So she may have a little bit more information about what kind of connections and the folks in our Oakland community that we'll be connecting you with as well, based on your interests.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
I would also add that, students already have a general idea of what they want to do. There's several different paths you could take, right, to get connected. So you could just, go wild on the internet and start looking things up, right? And think about organizations you might want to work with. And, if we don't have connections, I feel like we probably have connections with most of those places already. But someone like Inez or I could, make a formal introduction for you or something like that. But we also have a lot of folks here on campus whose work is rooted in the community. So we can help guide with that too. So if folks just sort of, if you have sort of a general idea, like, I would like to be working in an educational nonprofit, or I'd like to be working with an organization that focuses on healthcare. We already have folks who are probably working with those organizations and can help you make those connections. So I feel like I would just put Inez on the spot to say, like, ask Inez, but that's something I do all the time, every day anyway. I tend to tell people to ask Inez. But yeah, I think that you could start just kind of looking around, Googling community health centers in Oakland or things like that. What do you think, Inez? Ask Inez.
Right. No, yeah, absolutely. And then I will connect or ask an alum or a community-based organization. So I will say that we are, Mills College as a brand is very well connected and respected in the community. And so historically for our students, if we don't have a formal or partnership with an organization, we've never had issues connecting students to organizations, just because Mills does have a legacy of thoughtful engagement. And so folks are like, oh yes, I've been wondering how to connect to your office or how to connect to more students. And again, students will be able to both leverage the Mills alum base as well as the Northeastern alum base in the spring.
Great, thank you. And I think it's important to note too that, as we're talking, obviously this session is geared towards Northeastern students. So we're talking very specifically about things for Northeastern students, but by no means is this a shoebox or bubble or whatever you want to call it, island program. So Northeastern students really will be a part of campus, with Mills students and interacting with Mills students, and you'll have access to the same stuff that Mills students have access to. You'll even have your own Mills email account and ID number. And so as we're speaking, obviously we're talking about things that very specifically relate to Northeastern students who will be visiting students at Mills for the spring semester, but please understand that it is not by any means, an isolation program. So you will not be operating only with your Northeastern peers, but with your Mills peers as well. Any other questions via chat, via video? Thank you. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you for being brave and speaking up too. Okay, well, if there are no other questions, or if you have a question that you don't want to ask here, but you want to ask privately, feel free to email me. Again, if I don't know the answer, I will find the answer for you. And thank you so much for spending the last 40 minutes with us. And please get those applications in because they will automatically shut off at 11:59 p.m. on November 1st. And that door will be closed. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to my Mills colleagues who I look forward to meeting in person soon. And have a great day.